Okay, I want to start off the interview by asking you to introduce yourself as well as give us a little bit about your job story, where you work currently, and how did you get into that particular career path?
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for having me. My name is Shari Saperstein, and I am Associate Dean for the College of Undergraduate Studies at Nova Southeastern University. I know that's a big title and lots of words, but basically I oversee various departments at the university, which is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The areas that I oversee service the students outside of the classroom. So if we were to equate it to what students in the public schools do, it's like the guidance office and student activities and things of that nature. I oversee various areas at the university that support the students in resources, advising, tutoring, a variety of areas so that they're successful in their classes and enjoy being at the university. I found this field, I fell upon this field many, many years ago when I was an undergraduate in college. I was very involved on campus, enjoyed my classes, but loved being social more and loved all that I was learning outside of the classroom and all the leadership roles and finding how it made me feel as a person and how it empowered me to recognize that I could lead and my message was really strong and people were, really interested in joining an organization that I was the president of. So I kind of started to dabble outside the classroom, and that's when I realized that my field, which is called student affairs in higher education, is an actual career field. And that's how I started to pursue the area in terms of my full-time career after I graduated.
Oh, that sounds like fun, and I myself I love to socialize, so I might have to look into that career one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So I know due to COVID, things have changed. I know a lot of colleges they're having classes. Some students are there, some students are at home. How has your day to day job changed because of COVID? How was it prior to COVID, and what does a day to day just of normal activities look now?
Mhm. Well, the truth is that it was a lot more fun before COVID. I was on campus and surrounded constantly by not only the people that I work with, who are all really excited about helping students, but all the students, all the undergraduate and graduate students at the university, and really just kind of being with them and seeing their successes and knowing that what you're working for every day is right in front of you. Now it's a little more challenging for me because I'm a higher level administrator. I have a lot of staff members that I need to kind of take into account and be involved with while we're all working from home. We do rotate into campus, but there is no reason for us to all be in the office, A, for social distancing purposes, and B, many of our students are doing classes either from their residence hall rooms or they're doing classes from their homes. We have a hybrid model right now, so students have the option of either attending class in person, and that would be a limited number, or actually doing it from their home. So the vibrancy of campus is not the same. I would say that's been the major change, and I know the students feel it as well. So it's been really challenging for all of us to try to keep our spirits up and keep our students' spirits up and let them know that we're there for them, even though we don't see them every day. But we're hoping to, in the near future, get back to being together and build the spirit back up at the university.
Definitely, definitely. I can definitely understand. It's been difficult not seeing the people that I work with on an everyday basis. We're used to going into the office and seeing each other and being there for one another. So now it's been a little distance since we're all working from home now. So I definitely get where that college atmosphere has definitely changed. So now we're going to jump in my time machine and we're going to travel back to when Sherry was in eighth grade. What did you want to be when you were in middle school? And is it any way connected to what you're doing now?
I don't know that I had any idea what I wanted to be in middle school, but and I'm not sure, because I have a career development background, and for those who are going to be watching me this video, I think what's really important is, at least for me, learning what I liked and I didn't like, not so much a specific career field, because there are so many options. And the beauty of education and of learning in not only in middle school and high school and college and beyond is to really identify what you're really excited and passionate about and what you're good at and what you're not so great at. So you might love something, but you're not really great at it. So maybe that's more of a hobby rather than a career choice. So for me, I enjoyed being around people. I was always extremely social. It's funny, I think back, I loved organization. I loved administrative types things. I loved supplies and organizing myself for the school year. And I love being around my friends. So I don't think that I had a particular career in mind, although my parents probably wished I had at the time. But looking back, I think they realized I was a little too early. What are you, 14 in eighth grade?
Yep.
So I think about, my son who's 13 and, he says he thinks he wants to be something, but who knows? I mean, there's so many things that, attract us. But I think it's really just recognizing, as I look back, recognizing what excited me, what I enjoyed learning, and starting to kind of create those files in my mind.
Yes. So what you're saying is that it's good for the kids to just keep their minds open, gravitate towards, look at different things and gravitate toward something they're passionate about.
Absolutely. First of all, the passion is the most important. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, it's not going to last. I've had people that I've worked with over the years that thought that they should be an attorney, and they did it because they received pressure that they should do it, and they thought it was, the way to make money, and it looked all glamorous on TV, et cetera. And then they realized, they actually went into the field and recognized what it was, and they realized way too far in that this was not the right choice for them. It was not the right fit for them. Lifestyle-wise, yes, it has the benefits of certain areas, but everything comes with pluses and minuses in any career area. So that's why I agree with what you're saying, Adam. I think it's really important to just keep your mind open, try as many things as possible. No matter, it's just life experience, just to say, I've tried it and I like it or I don't, and kind of go on from there. But definitely keeping an open mind is key.
I like that. So now we're going to jump back in our time machine and we're going to go forward just a little bit. What was your first real job, and what is something that you might have taken from that job, whether it was positive or negative?
My first real job was working in my field. After undergrad, I went on for a master's degree, because in the field of student affairs, in order to work with college students, you do have to have a master's degree. So I figured that out pretty quickly. And then I said, okay, well, then I know my plan after graduation. And I went on and graduated and went on for a master's. And then my first job was in what we call residential life and housing, which is one of the areas within student affairs. So I was responsible for overseeing a residence hall where the students lived when they were on campus. And that provided me the opportunity, just so everyone watching understands, to, I was responsible for the safety and the supervision of the students in the residence hall, programming, social activities. I had a staff of resident assistants on each floor, and I enjoyed it a great deal. I knew I had made the right choice based on the fact that I could see the impact that all I was doing in the building was playing on the actual student population. I think the most challenging part was, at that time, my supervisor and I didn't necessarily have the same philosophy or the same, we had the same philosophy in terms of what the students should receive, but I think that the time frame in which she expected me to be working was way beyond what I had signed up for. My personal time was kind of encroached upon. And unfortunately, since it wasn't the most positive, I did learn a lot, which is fine, because I think there are going to be many things that happen to us in life that aren't positive, but we walk away with huge lessons. So it taught me how to be a stronger supervisor in terms of providing my staff autonomy, not micromanaging,
Hmm.
understanding work-life balance, how it's important to respect people's work, and then when they go home, they have another life, and really, just supporting staff. I think that was the strongest piece I received of what not to do as a supervisor, and moved on from there and learned and enacted what I had learned. So that was really great.
Okay. And I noticed you said that you had to receive a master's degree to get to your job where you're at now. Was there any additional coursework that you had to go through, or certifications or anything of that nature?
So in education, at least in higher education, because we are teaching or we are working with a certain level of educational level of a student, typically when you work at a university, or at least in my area of the university and faculty as well, you would need at least a master's degree. And then I went on and received an additional degree, a doctorate in higher education. So I'm the Dr. Shari Saperstein. That happened I think it's about a year and a half ago. And I did that for different reasons. When you're a faculty member and you're teaching students, if you have a doctorate, you can teach master's level students. And if you have a master's, you can teach bachelor's level students. So you have to be a level above the students you're teaching, essentially.
Gotcha.
For me, I did it because I wanted to just be competitive in my field. And if I ever decided that I wanted to go somewhere else and move somewhere else, and I wanted to be competing at the highest level to make sure that I had all the degrees necessary and I would at least be considered. But that's not for every career field. So it's not, I don't want to tell everyone listening that, you have to go on for multiple degrees. It's really case by case in terms of the field you want to go into. There are fields that you can have a bachelor's degree and great work experience, and that's all you need to be, a superstar. It just happens to be the field that you're in.
Got you. Okay, so now we're going to go back in time one more time. And if you can give your eighth grade self, eighth grade Sherry, any bit of advice, what would that advice be?
Work harder in school and on your academics. I was, I'm very successful. I believe in my career. I'm very proud of where I am today, but I do look back and I could have done a better job when it came to my academics. I just wasn't that interested in the topics, or I was more interested in socializing. And, there's nothing wrong with that because I believe that you not only develop skills from learning content, meaning the books, but you also learn skills from communicating with people and learning, how to be intuitive and all of these pieces, which are just as important, I believe. But I feel like if I had put a little bit more work in at the beginning stages where we call the building blocks,
Hmm.
I would have had it a little bit easier later on and maybe been able to propel forward in school a little bit faster or maybe with a little less stress.
Hmm.
Like I said, I wasn't a bookworm by any stretch. But if I could go back, I would definitely apply myself a bit more.
Got you. Got you. Sarah, I've enjoyed talking to you. Unfortunately, this brings us to our final question. I want to put you in the mindset that there's a student who's an eighth grader who's watching this video now, and they are dead set on going into the same career path that you're on, working in college and student affairs. What kind of advice or what kind of direction can you give them in order to assist them to make it down that particular career path?
Mm-hmm. I would say, first, know why you're doing it. You have to be really passionate about assisting students in their development and wanting to do whatever it takes to help them to be successful. So you have to really love that aspect. If you don't love that, then the student affairs is definitely not the field for you. Um, you have to want to be able to like change with the times. I feel like I have been in college forever, which is for me terrific. I feel as I'm sure anyone watching this, I feel pretty with it, pretty hip, but
Mhm.
maybe not so hip, but more hip than I would be if I weren't in the field. So,
Yeah.
that to me is a great aspect of being in the field, is really being able to, I know I'm with 20-year-olds every day on campus when it's a normal time, which is great. Really learning learning resources, that's huge. That's one of the biggest pieces, is we need to be resources to our students. So, if you're in a student organization, in middle school or high school, what's the benefit for you and why? And think in your mind, what would be the benefits for someone else if I had to sell it to somebody else? And, and talk about, how that would help them to, whether it be gain skills or learn something new about themselves. So always really keeping open and taking in what's around you and trying different things will help them to be on the road to, being a great resource in higher education.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Shari Saperstein. I really appreciate it. And I know most of all the students are going to appreciate this video that we're going to be showing them from Junior Achievement. We thank you for being a part of our Inspire event. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for having me. I hope I did inspire.